So thank you for joining, and I appreciate your patience. So as we start, let's be as swift as we can be. So please learn to respond to my question. Why are you here? Why are you here? Some persons have said they want to sharpen their understanding of personal finance. Some said they want to learn how to raise intelligent children. Some said they want to be able to raise children that know how to earn money, how to multiply money, and how to invest money. And all of this comes in very handy and very important. So I came up with some of the reasons why I think you should be here to learn about your personal finance, because truth is, I have seen a lot of seminars, trainings, and all about personal finance, investment, and all of that. But nobody seems to be talking about how we can raise children in the same light. And I believe that no matter how well intentioned you are, you can't do what you don't know. You can't raise children to become who you have not become. So when you say you want to learn about your personal finance, I believe that's the beginning, that's the foundation you must first have before you can parent your children financially. Some will say, oh, I want to learn how to raise my children to be financially sound and wealthy. That is extremely important. I'm going to ask us some questions after now. Some will say, oh, I want to check out what all this is all about, especially the fact that it's free. So people are here for diverse reasons. But for whatever reason you are here, my assurance to you is that at the end of this session, you will appreciate being here, and you're going to begin to see a lot of things from a totally different perspective. Then this is another question I want us to answer. What is it that represents successful parenting to you? What is it that represents successful parenting? What is it that you will see in a child that will make you say their parents did a good job? What is it that you want to see in your children that will make you say, whoa, I tried as a parent? Can anybody leave messages on the chat for me? Oh, somebody said the screen sharing is blank. Can any other person confirm that? What can you see on the screen? Nothing? Oh, sorry about that. Thank you for drawing my attention to that. Okay. What represents a successful parenting to you? Leave a message. Yes, leave a message for me on the chat. What is it that represents a successful parenting? What is it that you will see in your children that will make you say, whoa, I tried? What is it that you will see in other children? You say, blessed is the mother, blessed is the father of this child. I'm watching the comment section for your responses, because these things are important in this conversation that we are going to have. Because the truth is, whatsoever you don't see to be important, somebody say responsible and well-mannered children. I'll tell you, that is vague. That is vague. When you say responsible, what do you mean? When you say well-mannered, what do you mean? That is vague. So think a little bit deeper. Think a little bit deeper and just answer. What is it? Disciplined and morally sound. Somebody say disciplined and morally sound children. Okay. So when you are old and you see your children and they are disciplined and morally sound, you could tell yourself that I have done well. Abi? So what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Okay, I have some take here. Academically sound children. Somebody say, when I'm able to replicate my value in the life of my children and see them live it out. But the truth is, your values have not been spelled out. What exactly are your values? What exactly are your values? Now, for the successful parenting is to see my children making vibrant decisions without help from their parents and bowing to peer pressure. You want to be assured that your children are able to make decisions and they don't bow to peer pressure, and these decisions they are able to make them independently without help from their parents. That's awesome. But these decisions, there will be outcomes you want to see in these decisions. For instance, I wrote out academically sound children. When you see your children are academically sound, you go to their graduation and their names are coming out as best graduating student, best behaved student, best dressed student, best mannered children, and all of that. That makes you happy. Then secondly, spiritually and morally sound children. Somebody has alluded to that earlier on. Then thirdly, I think that highly placed children in the society will also make you see yourself as a successful parent. But how many of us, with a show of hand, we think that you have failed if you raise children that are academically sound, spiritually and morally sound, highly placed in the society, but they are financially broke? How many of us will think that you have failed? If you are able to achieve all of this, but financially the children are not doing very well, will you count that as a failure? Talk back to me. I'm listening. I'm watching out for the chat. Okay, somebody said yes. But when we were measuring success, when we were mentioning the things that will mean success, none of us said wealthy children. You know why? You know why? There's this intrinsic, inbuilt belief to a lot of us that money is really not the main thing. Even though we wake up every day, whether you are wealthy or you are currently struggling, you are going to spend majority of your waking time pursuing finance. Somebody said that's a huge failure. Responsibility comes in there. Okay. Whether you accept it or not, whether you are materialistic or you choose to be mild as it relates to financial things, you cannot spend less than 80% of every day of your life thinking, working, and doing things to earn money. That is almost the same for everybody. But yet, a lot of times we don't pay attention to finance because either we have been religiously taught that money does not really matter. And for everybody who teaches that, I can validate their objective. What's the objective? They don't want to raise people who have become so money conscious and not think that money is everything. Particularly when we can find in scripture where the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. Remember, the Bible said the love of money. That's why if you see our broadcast and everything, when we talk about doing what we're doing, we said we want to help you raise children that will not be slave to money, loving or lacking money. Because when you love money, you will be enslaved to it. But when you lack money, I assure you, you will also be enslaved to it. So you want to be able to raise children who do not love money, but they also do not lack money. See, one of the things I've found out in my work and experience with people is that the most wealthy people really do not love money. I listened to a bishop, a highly placed bishop, and he was talking. He said, somebody gave him a check of about ₦1 million. After many weeks, the person called and said, Bishop, you have still not withdrawn the money. And he said, as he gave me the check, I just gave it to them. As we speak, I don't know where the check is. You know why? That is not his focus. But how many people who lack money can do that? I met a young man at the time. He became my friend while I was still working in the bank. And I needed something from him. And while we were doing that, he was asking me questions. I told him where I work. He said, wow, I have an account in that your bank. I've been looking for how to come and reactivate it. It's been dormant. But the time of queuing up and all of that is the reason why I've not really been able to come. I left the bank 2012. These incidents I'm sharing will be around 2010, 2009, 2010. So he said, okay, give me your bank branch. I said, you don't have a problem. I will do everything you need to do. All you need to, you just come to the bank and sign the necessary document and go away with your ATM card. He said, okay. If he gave me all the details, I got to the bank, I opened the account, I saw over 1.5 million. A young man, 2010, 1.5 million, and the account was dormant. That's to tell you that account was not part of his priority accounts. So these are the kind of children we want to raise. Children who will not love money, but they also will not lack money. And I want us as parents to add it as part of our responsibility to be able to raise children who are wealthy. And when I talk about wealthy, I'm not talking about those who have manifested the physical tangibility of money. But I mean children who are wealthy enough not to be slaves to money and not to be lacking when they need it. So I have just added to these 4 things that a lot of us will agree to, that there is also need for you to have financially wealthy children. There's also need for you to have financially wealthy children. So, but in all of this, I want to also help us redefine money. Because part of the responsibility of parents is that we help our children to determine their vocation. We help our children to determine their vocation. And I have learned by experience that most times wealthy parents have a different model of helping their children choose their vocation. But people who have not really mastered the game of wealth have a totally different model. That is why it is said that money is not taught in school, but the game of money is taught at home. And because the poor doesn't have mastery over it, the poor will always unintentionally train their children to become like them. Someone said in the chat, when my children master my value and begin to imbibe, just imagine when those values culminate in lack, your children will imbibe unintentionally. So let's understand what really is money. I know if I ask us, what is money? You say money is a means of exchange and all of that. All of that is correct. But I want you to begin to see money, because until we are able to deal with your ability to earn, saving, investing, and management of money does not come to play, because it is what you already have that you can save. It is what you have from what you have that you can invest. It is from what you have that you can manage. So I need us, when you think about money, think about rarity, scarce knowledge. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill calls it specialized knowledge. So my message to you parents, and for some of you are young enough and this decision can still help you, please prioritize seeking knowledge that is not in excess and having few demand. I ask a question. I have hardly ever seen an unemployed medical doctor. He may not be working where he would have loved to work, but because that his certificate carries weight, he always can get himself engaged somewhere and can earn something way, way more than the salary of a director in a civil service, even if that medical doctor just left school like 2 years ago, especially if he knows what to do. Why? You don't see a surgeon everywhere. That's why even in medical school, when people are lobbying to get into school, seeking admission and all of that, you see that very few persons are taking in those courses. So my message to you is that help your children to do the tough task. Help your children to embrace knowledge that is scarce. I know we will come up with this notion of, yes, children need to do what they love, children need to do what they love and all of that. Let me tell you, there is a bridge in that. And what we are doing now is actually supposed to lead us into a community. And some of these nitty-gritty are the things we will be teaching. This is not a long teaching session. So we're just going to touch them and hoping when we commune and continue, we'll have cause to talk about some of these things in details. So help your children to embrace scarce knowledge that are in demand. That knowledge must be scarce and must be highly demanded. Just imagine, go to Department of Business Administration, Department of Political Science, Department of Social Works. This is not to demonize these departments, but however you think about it, these departments chunk out a lot of graduates every year. I see people say, oh, they are studying this course. And I always ask this question, and sometimes I'm sure it infuriates some people. I say, why did you choose this course? Not because I don't think the course is valuable, but I just want to be sure that you that made that choice, you took time to think through it. I'll say, why did you choose this course? And when you are done with this course, where exactly do you intend to work with it? I realize that most time people just go to school without taking time to think through this. You cannot be in this community. You cannot have access to this level of knowledge and still be doing those kind of things. You are positioning your children for the struggle ahead. You want to be able to reduce the friction for your children. Let's not delude ourselves. There is nobody who is doing well today that you know that was not helped by somebody. There are rooms that can only open from inside. And I remember there was a time while I was still seeking for a job. I was already working in Standard Trust Bank UBA, but I needed a better placement in some banks and all of that. And I sat with somebody who was a close friend to the MD CEO of one of the first generation banks. He said, both of us sat down to decide the name of the bank. Both of us, we sat down to decide the name of the bank before the bank was initiated. So they are that close. So he was ready to take my documents and all of that, and voila, I'll be in. But when he opened my documents, he realized that I had HND, and it was HND mass communication. It has nothing to do with banking and finance. It had nothing to do with accounting, and it was not even a BSc as at that time. He said, wow. As influential as he was, as opportune as that thing was, he just couldn't help me. Why? Because I did not just meet the basic. This is me talking to you, so this is my personal experience. So you can imagine, that's why I tell my children, I don't believe that is the school that you go to, the course that you study, or the grade that you come up with that will make you wealthy. But we will collectively choose that course. You will put in the effort and come out first class. Let's leave the rest for God. People tell you all fingers are not equal, but just choose to be the longest. So this is part of the mindset I need you to have for your children, because when it comes to wealth, remember we're talking about financial parenting. If your parents knew this and they did this for you, I'm not sure you will be where you are today. So for some of the things that they were supposed to do that they did not do is the reason why you are here. And you must do that for your own children. And next, when you think about money, think about time, think about energy, think about attention. These are the things that are converted to products and services. One thing I've observed by life is the fact that those that have value for their time, their energy, and attention, and convert these things to create products and services, they get paid by this social media, all of these platforms, and they take their content and showcase it to those that are ready to waste their time, waste their energy, and pay attention to entertainment. So it's a simple thing. Some are creating, they take their creativity and show it to the consumers, and they charge the consumers, or they use the consumers to justify why people like us should come and put adverts. So attention is actually being traded. So when you think money, don't just be thinking about that paper. Think about time, think about energy, think about attention. Help your children to maximally utilize these things. Because why do you need this? This is going to help in their earning capacity. Some of you listening to me might begin to say, wow, how come my parents did not know this? But I bet you are not intentional. And if you don't do anything, your children will wonder why you did not act when you had the opportunity. Then the key point here is to teach your children that money is a tool, it's not a goal. Money is a tool, it's not a goal. I was in one of my board meetings yesterday with one of the organizations. I'm a member of their board, and I shared with them how they must see their entrepreneurial journey as a ministry. And the goal is not to just make money. If the goal is to make money, you will easily get frustrated. And I related something like, how much is Dangote worth? How much is Elon Musk worth? Elon Musk is worth, I think at the moment, well over 200 and something billion dollars, if not up to $300 billion. And I ask, if Elon Musk choose to spend $1 million every day, it will take him 1 year to finish $365 million. It will take him 3 years to finish about $1 billion. And he has close to $300 billion, meaning it will take him close to 900 years to finish what he currently has. And those kind of people are still working very hard, still creating products, still creating services, and they are still transforming and changing lives. That's to tell you they are not doing that because of money. There is something else that is pushing them. These are some of the things you need to help your children know, that the goal is not money, but money is a tool to becoming a person of value. Money is a tool to becoming a person of value. I said this in our last conversation. I said, I don't see anybody who is in this class now who is a believer who will not have loved to be very supportive of his church. That for every program that is going on in your church, you want to ask them, how much is it? I want to clear it out. But you cannot do it because you don't have it. You see, so the goal is there, but you don't have the tool of effectiveness. So please do not demonize money. Do not demonize it. Help your children to be free with it. Help them to see that this thing is a tool. I need to have it in excess. I need to have it in excess. And understand that your father is extravagant. God is extravagant, but it's not wasteful. Extravagance is different from being wasteful. That's why Jesus will take 5 loaves of bread multiply it, feed 5,000 people, and ask them to pick what is left. If you was a wasteful person, oh, we have excess, anywhere we get to, just take it. Was it not 2 we multiply? Just take the 2, leave the rest. When we get there, we'll multiply it and say, pick whatsoever is left. So extravagance and abundance doesn't necessarily mean waste. Then I also like to make people see this, because a lot of time when we talk about wealth, people think futuristically. But sometimes I look at it and I find out that a lot of people are already wealthy, but they just don't know. Because wealth is not in the future terms, it is what you already have and how you are managing. For instance, I need you to do this as an assignment for yourself. This night/tomorrow, take a document, list out some of the expense heads that you take care of as a family, as a man, as a woman, as a young man. Food, house rent, clothing, school fees, medicals, transportation. List out these expense heads. Just try to put the figures as to what you are currently spending. You will see that you already have a lot coming through your hands. In my opinion, I think that you're already wealthy. Because the truth is, until you know that you are wealthy, you can't manifest wealth. And if you don't know that you are wealthy, if you are not able to manifest wealth, so the question is, how then do you raise wealthy children? So there must be a shift in the mind before a shift in what comes in. So my message to you is the fact that you are already wealthy. Because if you go back to the etymological meaning of the word wealth, it really doesn't have anything to do with finance. It has to do with virtue. The word wealth has to do with virtue. And virtues are the things with which you take and convert them to service, convert them to products. That's why 2 people may be selling the same products, but one is getting more attention. Why? This person just have that virtue of honesty. People just trust. There was a time I was having issues with my car and it kept going back and forth from the mechanic. And my children say, Daddy, you just try somebody else. I say, I can't. I can't, because I've come to trust the person I'm working with. He has proven it over time. So even when I suspect there is a gap in his competence level, it's difficult for me to take the decision to go meet somebody else. What's working for him? The virtue of honesty. And wealth is built around it, the virtue of hard work, the virtue of consistency, the virtue of faithfulness, of commitment. All of these are embellished inside wealth. And if you divulge this meaning of wealth, you will realize that we are already wealthy as a family. Because that mindset is the foundation upon which you can build financial wealth. So, but why did I analyze all of this? I want to ask this question. If you already can take care of these bills, if you already can take care of these bills, I need you to just do one thing for me. Just add one extra missing item. That is, have an investment line added to the already existing expense lines that you have. Because you're spending money for food, you're spending money for house rent, you're spending money for school fees, you're spending money for transportation, you're spending money for a lot of these things. I know that you will say that sometimes you struggle to meet these things. But the question here is, what if you have to just add one more? Somebody is writing on my board, please. So what if you have to just have one more line of expense, and that is your savings that will end up as investments? That savings that will end up as investments. The same way you struggle, when I teach people about savings, I always ask them to do this mental work. For instance, if your salary is 100,000 and you're struggling to cope with that 100,000, it looks like the money is not enough. And I'll tell them, do this mental work. Assume that your salary is 80,000. Because if you look around, you're going to see people who are earning 80,000 and they are still coping. So assume that your salary is 80,000 and your first expense is that first 20,000 on top, which goes in as your savings. This is me assuming that you don't have spiritual obligation. For those of us who pay tithes, you already know, because one of the things that helped me to tithe, I know some of you have your opinions about it, but my opinion is that tithing is my own way of showcasing to God that you are the source of my finance. So I don't care what anybody say. I care what the word of God say, and the interpretation I have of it enable me to continue to do it. So even if I earn ₦1,000,000, in my heart, I have just earned 900,000. In my heart, I have just earned 900,000. Sorry, somebody tried to call me. Who is this person? Some persons, I don't know how they do things. You call somebody and the person rejects it. You will not just stop. So, see what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and block this person briefly. I'll not tell you who the person is, otherwise you will wonder, why will you block her? Because there's no way I can get her to understand what I'm doing now. All right. Sorry. So my message is that just add that one extra expense line, which is investment. It could be as small as 5,000. It could be as small as 10,000. Some of you are wealthy enough to have these 20,000 in 4 places for your 4 children. But you may not have ever thought about this. Or say, I just have it in an account. No, take it away from savings and put it in an investment account. I did a short calculation for us here that you can just screenshot and take time to look at it for yourself. You know, if you put 5,000 naira monthly in a savings account and you accumulate that over 5 years and at 9% per annum interest rate, see how much it will generate. If you do the same for 20,000 times 10 years at 10% per annum, where somebody who say we have 2,400,000, someone who invests the same, we have 4,096,000, almost double. So just saving for them is a good start. It's not where it should end. The money you have saved should be moved into an investment account, and subsequently rather just be crediting that your small 20,000 into an investment account. For some of you will say, but I don't even have children. Start to do it for yourself. If you are married, name your children and start to do it possibly in their name. One of the messages we share in the group today is that if you do this 10,000 naira for 10 years, it will give you over 4 million. And imagine if you have a child at age 10 going into secondary school and you have 10 million naira in an investment trust to take care of that child's education. If you follow us and you begin to learn about investment, that 10 million naira could now even be put in an investment that yields 17% per annum. That will be enough. The interest from that will be enough to keep the guy or the girl, your child, in school while the capital remains fixed. But this knowledge is what makes you wealthy. Always continue to perpetuate wealth. But the supposedly wealthy that are not yet aware of their level of wealth keep complaining and hoping that things will just change. I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe that most of you here are, because we are Nigerian. Spirituality is one of the things for us. For a majority of us, the only strategy we think will make things work for our parents is that God will help them. I appreciate that, but I believe that you working with God will make the help for your children fast tracked. All right. So, what are the wealth mindset that you must have? Because I'm sure I'm the only one talking about financial parenting. I know I see a lot of people who also have platforms where they are teaching people about financial literacy. But my goal is to empower the parents who will in turn empower the children. So, and these are some of the mindsets you must have. Understand that you must turn your environment to a wealth building factory. Because children copy what they see, not what you say. Children copy what they see. So for some of you, you may not have a reason to want to practice these things I'm sharing. You may think it's already too late, but please do these things for the sake of your children. Not even because you want to give them the money, but you must create that environment that just get them to understand that wealth is within reach. Turn your environment to a wealth building factory. Understand that your children are learning from you. They are learning from how you manage. I was going to pay my children's school fees today, and I decided to go with my son. While we were going, I showed him the balance in the account. When I was done paying, I showed him the remaining balance. Why am I doing all of that? I just want them to be aware of things because of the level of financial awareness in my family. I told my children we're going to go out to somewhere to tour a particular tourist site here in the city. And they said, Daddy, do they take money to enter the place? I said, no, I have some. He said, okay. I said, why were you asking? He said, because I wanted to say that we don't need to spend that money now. Let's just wait. Let's just focus on our school so that we can resume school. We can always go later. I said, no, we are not paying for it. All of this sends a message back to me. The fact that my children are financially aware. That is exactly what I want you and your children to begin, because that is where it all begins. Secondly, understand that environment shapes belief systems. Environment shapes belief systems. When I began to read about this, and I happened to be sitting in a seminar one time, and somebody taught about this, and I asked, I said, for some of us who are living in an environment that is all around us, broke people, everybody's trekking, everybody's, just struggling to eat. The conversation is about how bad the country is and all of that. I said, what do you tell some of us? Does it mean that we're already in trouble? And my mentor said, do you want me to be true to you? I said, yes, sir. That's why we are here. He said, yes, you are. Then he began to share with us how there was a time he was working a lot with people who were poor. He was trying to help them because it's a wealth educational. It's a wealth. Is a premium business mentor. So that's how it's called, a premium business. It's a wealth coach. So you said he was working with these people and trying to help them and all of that. He said that at some point when his siblings came in from the UK, the US, I think they had something to do in Nigeria, and they said, what's happening? You are looking very poor. He said, these my siblings, I am wealthier than them, even though they live wherever they live. He said, but they could observe that I was looking very poor. He said, why? Because the kind of people I was mingling with, my intention was how to help them. But while I'm trying to help them, some of them will be growing and becoming like me. But I was also gradually becoming like them. He said, my phone will crack. I will cope with it. But where my people were coming from, if a phone is bad, you just don't pick it, you pick another one. He was not sharing with us. He said some of you are living in an environment. There's water flowing everywhere, mosquito landing everywhere. Your mind has accepted this environment as normal. So it doesn't irritate you. But someone comes in and says, this whole place is looking unkept. And you are wondering, what is he talking about? Why? Your environment have shaped you. So the same way, you must intentionally create environment to shape your children. These things I'm saying, there are scientific backings to them. There's the Bandura social learning theory that talks about kids imitate observed behaviors. So your behaviors around your children will imitate. And what people imitate, they will become. Then there's the neuroplasticity theory that talks about the fact that the brain rewires based on repeated exposure. That's why when it comes to wealth, just hearing about it is just the foundation. Wealth has to be modeled. Wealth has to be modeled. You must show yourself to a wealthy environment. Expose your brain to wealth. I attended a class at some point. I can see trace my own mental deliverance to that session. And when I went through that session, the assignment for us in that class was to do one of these two things. He said, if there is a car dealership shop in your city where they sell brand new cars, I mean brand new, not used cars, brand new. He said, go to that place, negotiate for one of the most expensive cars, sit in the car, ask them to take you for a test drive. Snap yourself while you are doing the negotiation, snap yourself while you are in the car, snap yourself while you're going for the test drive, and tell them you will get back to them. So many people did that, but I live in Benin City. I really couldn't see a place where they sell brand new cars. And the next assignment was look for the most expensive hotel. Go to that hotel, buy yourself a meal, buffet, snap the receipt, snap yourself while you are eating the food, and you will submit. That was the assignment. And at this time, a buffet was 15,000. For me, that was huge money as at this time. But I went and I did it. After I did it, my mind could regurgitate and say, if you can do this, it's no big deal. The people that go there, they are humans. I begin to see myself like one of those great people. And since then, I've had cause to even take my entire family there. I've had cause to host people. I have visitors as they are coming around. Once they come, I put them in the car, say, let's go eat buffet. Today, to be frank, I don't really find it easy going into a restaurant and say, give me this, give me this, give me this. I prefer to just take it as buffet, eat, then you give me the bill, I pay. Because my mind has been rewired to see that I should have the ability to make my choices. And that's one of the things that buffet does for you. The only restriction to buffet is how much your tummy can take. And I remember those early time of going for those buffets. I want to ensure I eat enough to cover my money. But now if I go, I just eat as much as I can and I'm comfortable. So these are experiences that it cannot be taught. It has to be experienced. So thirdly, there is this epigenetic theory that says the environment influences even your genetic expression. Your genes, the genes of your body, your environment influences it. So for some of you, after this class, because environment has gone way beyond physical environment. Today, your environment has to do with the content of your phone, the WhatsApp groups you belong to, the groups you are engaging with, that today is part of your environment. Some of you need to go through some of this environment and exit yourself. Exit yourself. Otherwise, greatness will be far off. So this is me talking to you because you must do this for yourself and create this same environment for your children. Some of you will begin to believe God to relocate from some locations and be in some part of the city that represent wealth. At the moment, that should be your thinking. I always tell people, don't think that because we hear all of this when we're just coming up, attending seminars, they'll say if you want to be wealthy, do what the wealthy people are doing. I don't recommend that. If you want to be wealthy, look at the lifestyle of the wealthy that brought them to wealth and begin to model that lifestyle. Because if you want to do what they are doing, you're going to be matching up with someone who is spending the interest of their investment, while you will be spending your capital because you want to do what they are doing. You say, oh, Mr. Said talked about going for buffet. I want to go for buffet. At the moment, if I go for buffet, I'm not spending my capital. If you must go for buffet and you must spend capital, you have to avoid it. But how do you then put yourself in that environment? Nothing stops you from going to such a place and buy a bottle of water, just open a book to read. Just to feed that environment, just to expose your brain, just to expose your genes to that environment. So your brain can begin to absorb some of these things. Because until it's in you, it's going to be difficult for you to put it in your children. Because some of us, you go through processes, you learn things, and when you get back home, your parents are practically fighting you. They'll say, I paid your school fees. I sent you there. Now you are not behaving like you know more than me. What inspired me to do what I'm doing now is actually the children. And they remain our motivation. That's why you see that for everything we teach about, we want to see how you can connect it to the children. But I thought to myself, if I begin to say, oh, parents, bring your children, they bring them around, we are equipping them and all of that, the parents will reverse whatever we teach. That's why the model of this community that we're building is that we impact the children and the children, we impact the parents and the parents will impact the children. We have sessions with the children, but those sessions will be we partnering with parents to empower their children mentally. Please, I don't want to believe that I'm just talking to myself. Please get on the chat session. Just tell me one word to express how you feel about this session, to express what has been happening to you. I'm looking at the chat session. Just leave a word or two, a line, a statement, whatever. Value. That's vague. Let's learn to talk in ways. When you say value, what does it mean? Because I've been in such programs, people will say, I'm getting value, I'm getting value. No. Use a word that expresses how you feel at the moment. How you feel. But first, I must appreciate you for responding because we are much there and you are the first person that have responded. Can I hear from you? If you are here, please respond enlightening. Okay, enlightening. Amazed for the knowledge gained. Enlightening, exposure to financial literacy. All right. Thank you so much. So I can continue right now. So speak, live, and model wealth. Speak, live, and model wealth values every day. Insightful and educational, or some teaching. Speak, live, and model wealth value before your children every day. Those comments that you used to hear from your parents. Do you think that money grows in trees? Let it not be heard in your mouth. Let it not be heard in your mouth. If your children ask you things and you don't have it, just tell them, come around, hold their hands, say, let's ask the Father. Hold their hands, let's pray. and let them know. It's part of what I do with my children when they ask me things. I say, first go and ask your father, because God is the only father that does not have grandchildren. I am a child of God. My children are children of God. And I let them understand that God is at liberty to provide through me, through your mom, or through anywhere else. And to be frank, God can provide with or without you, their parents. That's why I look at children that do not have parents. Some of them are still doing very well. So that is it. Hold their, never speak lack to their consciousness. I think one of the things that will happen to you after this session is that you become more mindful of what is going on within you as it relates to wealth. Speak, live, and model wealth value before your children. Then there's another thing I want to emphasize before we wrap this up: the power of mentorship. It is proven that modeling is stronger than instruction. Modeling is stronger than instruction. I listened to recently, because I started to do this. I don't know, God has a way it works. Because I started to do this, one of the set of articles I'm stumbling into now is that I'm beginning to see how the wealthiest men in the world were parented. Recently, I was reading about how Bill Gates' parent, Bill Gates Sr., was a very wealthy man, influential to the core. Bill Gates' mother, at a time where computer was like a house, we have to work in the computer, you have to enter inside, meaning an entire country can have one computer. At that time, Bill Gates had access to a computer. So what is happening to him today is not an error. If you go study about the current president of the United States, how his father influenced his thought pattern, I think these are things that becomes interesting to us. We must begin to get interested on how I recently checked out Elon Musk's mother has 1 billionaire and two millionaires in dollars. And the other siblings of Elon Musk are millionaires to the tune of over $100 million, both of them. So the question is, how did that woman raise them? Elon Musk emphasized the fact that he didn't get a lot from his father. His father was somehow, he just cashed it, he just coined it in a way that his experience with his father was not very pleasant. So he tilted so much towards his mother. But the influence of his mother has resulted in him being this wealthy. The siblings are over $100 million rich. Recently, I stumbled into a write-up on social media, whether it's true or not, whether it was written by Davido or not, I don't know. But Davido said, Dangote drove me from the hospital when I was born. You can see the connection from childbirth. Dangote's father and Dangote and Davido's father have been friends. The friendship was so close that Dangote was the person that drove Davido from the hospital. This is not confirmed, but I saw it recently in an headline that says Davido rejected $2.1 million offered to him by Dangote as a support for his wedding. And he said, Godfather, I want you to be physically available. I don't need the money. It was on that write-up that I saw the connection they had when he talked about how he wasn't really chanced, he was busy, but he decided, well, I can't make it, but this is my plan to support your wedding. He said, no, I don't need it. I need you to be around. He said, I have to be. So there's power in mentorship. So as at the time we heard Davido say 30 billion for the account, even though I may not justify some of these people's lifestyle, but I tell you this, the environment have a way of influencing what becomes of you. Your environment, we've proven that scientifically. How your environment influence models your value, molds your value, how your environment affects your brain rewiring, how your environment affects your genetic buildup. These are scientifically validated theory that you can go ahead and study about. Surround your children with mentors. And one of the ways to do that is that you must become their first mentor. You must become their first mentor. And I'm providing this platform to work with you to mentor your own children. And but you say, but I don't have children. But I assure you that your presence in this group will prepare you so well that when your children come, they will be coming into a home that is already well prepared. And that is very important. Role models, surround them with mentors, surround them with role models, understand their purposes at birth, and look for people that represent that future. Everybody that knows me, I have 3 children. One of them is a boy, 2 of them are girls. I have that prophetic inspiration that I had when I gave birth to them. And I have communicated this to the 3 of them. My boy has a mandate for leadership. So some of you will hear me call him Bishop, because I ask myself, how do I speak this into his life? I check, the height, the hierarchy of Christianity, the height is a bishop. Then I looked at the academia, prof. As a child, I was calling him prof. I will call him bishop. But over time, bishop just stick, and we did away with the prof. This is me trying to speak these things into his life. And our value as a family is the acronym LIGHT: leadership, integrity, generosity, honor, and teamwork. I made him the leadership champion. We all have to champion each aspect of that value. I made him the leadership champion. What that means is that he's supposed to study about leadership and constantly ensure that we are promoting that virtue and that value of leadership as a family. So once in a while, he comes to teach us about leadership, starting from self-leadership. And after him, someone like John Maxwell must become his best friend. He must read after him, he must model after him, because for me, that's the model of leadership today. And that doesn't take away the spiritual leadership of Jesus Christ, reading the Bible and all of that. They all have books that they are constantly reading. That's one way you expose them to models. There is hardly any topic you raise that my boy cannot add a few things. That does not just happen by mistake. This morning during our devotion, my wife was just talking and said, Jesus is the only God, all other gods. He said, no. He said, there are no other gods. He said, because gods are not created. He said, Jesus is the only God. All others are idols. My wife said, whoa, thank you, thank you. That's why we are all learning. I was dazed personally, because he began to explain. He has said he wants to be a lawyer. He loves to argue. So these are things. So when you know these things, push them to role models that will help them to nurture these gifts. So in your parenting, you must be intentional. Then bring them around wealth-friendly environments. Take your children away from places where they try to talk poverty, where they use words that symbolizes poverty, when people talk about scarcity, irrespective of what you are feeling per time, irrespective of the environment per time. You must keep your words on wealth. Please, 1 minute. You must keep your words on wealth. Never allow those environments that try to emphasize poverty, that try to say we are saying the fact, we are speaking the reality. This is what we are feeling. Everybody can feel it. That there's no money in this country. Never allow such environment. I usually will say this. When people say there's no money in this country, I ask questions like, go and check the car dealers. People are buying cars every day. Go and check those selling cement. Before they offload 1,000, one truck of cement, which is 900 baht. Next week they are offloading. Where are those cement going to? Then you now come to that negative mindset that a lot of people have. All these people are criminals. They are thieves. You know how that works. When you talk like that, you are a morally righteous person. You want to be righteous, so you don't want to be a criminal. When you call wealthy people criminals, what your mind is hearing, oh, I am morally right. I want to be righteous. Wealth is criminal. So your mind help you to avoid criminality. So your mind help you to avoid wealth. You remain small. So when people are castigating politicians, castigating people and calling them different names, please walk away. Because I'm not telling you to go and be justifying politicians. But what I'm telling you to do is to make sure that poverty does not stick to you. Is to make sure that your mind does not define wealth as criminality. So surround your children with such environment. Let them see, let them touch, and let them mingle with the reality you desire for them. There is a lifestyle you desire for them. Once in a while, take them to those environments. Take them to those environments. I was going to do something for my children this last holiday. Because of their level of financial awareness, they are the ones that even stopped it. I told them, I want you guys to go to Abuja. But look at what it will cost, because I want you guys to experience flights. When we did the numbers, flying for the three of them without us, we cost close to 700,000. That's because we even know ahead of time and we're planning ahead of time to. And I told them 700,000, of course, you're going to stay somewhere. The person you're going to stay with, those ones we're already happy with, waiting for them. You guys will go out. Even though they will say, no, you guys don't worry, we'll take care of them. We would like to also support. But we put everything together. Everything was tilting towards 800 to 900,000. They will now say, immediately you are coming back, look at your school fees. The wage bill for your school fees is close to another 600,000. They themselves said, Daddy, let's not travel. Let's put that for another time. Possibly a time where our journey will not necessarily be conflicting with salary. I wanted to give them that experience, but they also know, because this is how I run my home. I run a very open home. My children have the opportunity to talk to me about anything. So this is the mindset I'm sharing. And I believe it will help. It takes away pressure. It takes away pressure. I don't pray this happens. If there was even a time my wife was saying that, I think our daughter should go to a government school. I said, why? Because that's the question I always ask. I said, why? Is it not people's children that are going? Let her just have that experience. Let her just have that experience. And we're already contemplating which school. One of the things that discouraged us is that, these other ones are schooling here. If she has to go to that school, it means we have to be thinking of a different route she will take. Otherwise, she will go and experience it. It doesn't make me feel poor one bit. Because I know that it's an experience I just wanted her to have. Some of you are struggling to keep your children in some schools because you think it represents wealth. As good as that is, I support it if you can afford it. Because one thing that financial awareness, financial literacy does for you is that you must spend less than you earn. If you must put your children in those schools, don't think of the school first. Think of how to enhance your earning capacity. Don't think, because some of you are spending money putting your children in those schools because you're more conscious about what people will say than what your pocket is saying. Meanwhile, your pocket is saying that you are dying, but you want to. So in doing these things I'm sharing, try to listen to what is going on within you, so you don't drive yourself into some kind of pressure. I know this will look like I'm countering some of the things I've been saying. No, it's not. It's not. I'm asking you to be financially aware, intentional, and wise. I happened to do a program recently, and I had to engage children from Idia College, Imaguri College, and Benin Technical College. And on that project, I had my colleagues who came in from Abuja. When they were done, they said, "Sai, are these government school children?" We said, yes. They said, they don't look it. They don't look it. I know that they didn't really meet up with the private school students because I engage with both. It's difficult to see a private school student that is speaking pidgin English. I was practically cautioning them. I did teaching practice recently in one of these schools. One of the rules I have in my class is that you don't speak pidgin English in my class. That made my class less noisy. I understand that. But if that is what you can afford, allow your children to go through there. Then spend the money to equip yourself and become their teacher and their mentor at home. They can still amount to greatness. That's a promise. That's a promise. They can still amount to greatness. So somebody will say, you have said a lot. So how do I start? Where do I start from? Where do I start from? First, maintain a family budget. Let your children be a part of this process. Maintain a family budget. Let your children be a part of the process of this family budgeting. What that will do for them is that it exposes them to how the money is coming and how it is being spent. Your children will all of a sudden become less demanding. I've just shared a series of experiences with you about how my children will knock off some expense because of priority. Daddy, let's not do that. That is something that an average child will rush towards, but they'll say we cannot do that because at the moment, it doesn't fall into the priority list. You see, track your family expense. Make one of them to manage the family expense document. Give them the document. Everything you buy, record it, give it to him or her. Let them be documenting it. Let them be documenting it. Remember, you are learning, you are implementing with them. You are learning, you are implementing with them. For some of you who follow the link to join this class and you are not in our WhatsApp group, I recommend that you join the WhatsApp group. You can leave a message for me or leave a message for the person that shared the link that brought you to this class so they can lead you to joining that WhatsApp group. So track your family expense, then create a work line item and investment savings. Add it to what you already have. For some of you that already have accounts open for your children, go ahead and start to save for them monthly. Depends on how you earn. And one thing you must do for them, when you save for them, once in a while, show them the balance. It will help them. Show them the balance. It will help them. This year, I asked my children to come up with their financial goals. I said, I know you don't earn, but just trust God. My son said, he mentioned an amount. My daughter mentioned an amount. My eldest daughter mentioned an amount. Recently, my son just graduated. I posted his picture of graduation, a friend of mine chatted me up from the US and said, please send Bishop's account. Question is, what if he doesn't have accounts? I immediately sent the accounts. Some 2 nights ago, I was just still working, almost around 12 a.m. at night. I just chatted him up. I said, how far now? I sent you an account. I didn't hear from you. And this young man is asking me how far. He said, I thought I have done something. Because my error was that I thought his email was in my phone. So when the alert comes, I will see it. I forgot that it was in another phone that I've not really been using. So I just went there, opened his email. I saw that the money was sent the same day I sent him the account. And that money added to what was in the account made my son to reach and even surpass the financial goal he set for himself this year. And I went to show him the alert. He was jubilating, he was celebrating. So the next line of things I'm doing for them is to move all those money to an investment where I will be contributing and adding to. And as the investment is yielding, I will be showing them. Do you know what it will look like for a child to think that I have 1.2 million and I'm just 12 years old? That child, it will be difficult for you to tell that child that he is poor. I remember when my children were still coming up, my children opened their save and we saw 27,000 in my son's account. And a few days later, forgetting what he did, I said, Bishop, this is laziness. He said, how can you say I'm lazy? If I'm lazy, how can I have 27,000? You see it? That savings is communicating to its mind that a lazy person cannot have 27,000. So this is not me speaking. This is the environment speaking. So share financial lessons with children in simple languages. That's part of what we are doing for children in the community, the financial parenting community. It's not a community of parents alone. It's a community of parents, would-be parents, and their children. So expose them to financial mentors and books. Expose them to financial mentors and books. One of the books that my children asked me a question about one time was this book by Sunday Adelaja. Money won't make you rich. He said, Daddy, money won't make you rich. So what then will make you rich? I read this book in 2016. And some of these books, my children have read them. Think and Grow Rich, all of those books, they've read them. Because they can't live with me and not be passionate about what I'm passionate about. So these are things that every one of us must imbibe if we must raise a family of wealth. So I'm introducing to us today what I titled the Financial Parenting Community. It's a community committed to building you financially so you can build your children into wealth, even if you are broke at the moment. And that is possible. If you have gone through this session, you will agree with me. There are a lot of brick walls. There are a lot of mindsets that hinders you from being wealthy that have been broken down since this conversation started. So this community is going to dig deep into more of it scientifically, using scientific frameworks and processes to help you unravel some of this mindset, deal with them, and give you tools and strategies to empower your children. It's a 1-year guided mentorship. It's an annual mentorship program. It's a 1-year guided mentorship for children. We'll supply you with tools, with strategies and accountabilities to raise wealthy children. Then, of course, what do you think should be the investment for this kind of a community? Please, let's get on the chat. I want to hear from us. I want to see our chat. For a community like this, for you to be a part of this for 1 year, what do you think the investment should be? I'll mention our name so we don't just have to keep waiting. Adeniyi, let me hear from you. Ajayi, Atama Patricia, Boss Alex, Sedolei, Kamal, Mata, Maureen. Maureen is already part of us. Nate, Peter, Samuel Adipe, Xiaomi. Please let us all drop a comment. What do you think a community like this should deserve as an investment? I'm waiting for you. Let's not take so much time. 10,000 monthly subscription. It's not bad. All right. Because obviously what you're going to learn is transformational. It's transformational, and we'll do our best to make it more virtual than physical so we can open room for as many people as possible. Is it that we have people here that are not online? 10,000 naira monthly will not be a bad idea. So let's hear from you all. Is somebody endorsing that? Just write for yourself because I can't see your endorsement. Drop your comments by yourself. Let me hear you. 25,000 naira quarterly matter. All right. 25,000 naira quarterly. Annually will be 100,000 naira. 10,000 naira is not bad. All right. Okay, so your children, I said 100,000 naira annually can be broken down to be paid twice. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, your children's future wealth is your greatest legacy. Because when I ask all of us to talk about what we categorize as parental success, almost none of us identified financial wealth as something that has to be reckoned with. And that's because you are not intentional, not because you don't know that when you have a wealthy child, you are not successful, but because money is not in your radar as one of those things that stimulates, that represents success in parenting. And that's part of the mindset that we need to deal with. That you know that raising wealthy children is part of your responsibility. It's part of your responsibility. So you don't build wealth for your children. You build wealth in your children. Because there's difference between material wealth and the software that generates wealth. So what this community intends to install is that software that generates wealth. Today is the last day. This community will be unveiling on the 1st of September. This community will be unveiling from the 1st of September. So this is like the second time I'm going through this session just to bring us in. So this is the investment that we have. First of all, this is the modules that we have come up with. Understanding money, teaching children new definition of wealth, family budgeting, turning every expense into wealth lessons, savings and investment for children, how to start small and build big, wealth mindset, building a positive money culture at home, teaching children the value of work, time, and skills, the power of environment, create wealth-friendly space for children, modeling financial discipline. I use the word modeling financial discipline. Parents as role models. Money conversations, how to talk about money with children at different ages, introducing children to mentorship and role models of wealth, digital tools for family finance, apps and resources parents can use, building a generational wealth plan from savings to legacy, celebrating progress, reviewing growth, and setting new family wealth goals. These are things that we will be going through on a yearly basis. And of course, as we go through, we're going to be getting feedback from us. And where there is need for us to modify, we will eventually modify and come up with things that are necessary for the time. Okay, this is the community. You can find it at sellfanny.com/financial parenting community. And the investment in this, some of you got guess right, 10,000 naira monthly. But the more months you want to pay at the same time, the less you pay. And I'm going to give us offer for 24 hours that will further break this down. Quarterly, you pay 28,000. Because if you were paying 10,000 naira monthly, quarterly you should be paying 30. You just saved 2,000. Then every 6 months you pay 55,000. That is saving 5,000 from paying 10,000 for 6 months. And per annum is 100,000. And what all of this qualifies you for is that it qualifies you to get your children into the children community that we will also be building. Because we know we are dealing with children from age 10 to 17. Some of them may not even have access to phones. So practically we'll be engaging with the parents in the community and sharing platform and access for them to engage their children so their children can learn. So if you think this is a good deal, you have between now and the next 24 hours to make a choice. And I'm going to give you an offer, 20% discount for the next 24 hours on any of these offers that you choose to take. Any of these offers that you choose to take. That means for the 10 months, you pay 8,000. For the 28 per quarter, you pay 22,400. I know that's going to mean that I'm going to likely do a refund to some persons who have already paid, are already in the community. But I think that's something that we are able to bear. I just want to use this to encourage us to at least give it a start. For you that say, I don't have that big money, just start with your 8,000. Engage for 1 month and see how it goes. For the 55,000, you'll be paying 44,000. And for the 100,000 per annum, you'll be paying 80,000. But some of you who are here, who have already paid either 10,000, and you want to say, I want to upgrade because 10,000 to 22,000 is just 12,000. You can add 12,000 and move to quarterly. If you have paid 28,000, I want to upgrade to 44,000, or for 28 to 55 was high. I'm sure I can do the extra to jump at 44. You are at liberty to do that. And if you want to go further to 80,000, it's open to you. But this is only valid till 24 hours, which is by 12 midnight on the 10th of August 2025, you may be able to have this offer. But if you need this offer, all you need to do is to talk to us through WhatsApp. Then we send you a code. We send a code that will take away. The link is already there. Sellfanny. Okay, I can type it here. sellfanny.com/financial parenting community. So if you follow the link that is on the chat box, it takes you there. Once you are there, just reach out to me. I'll send you a code that allows you to enjoy this 20% on any of them. Or if you also prefer to pay straight into our account, communicate to me and we will drop it there. All right, let's take our questions. If you have a question for me, let's quickly take those questions before we call this a day. Thank you for your time. So in the absence of no question, I think this would be a good time to wrap this up. My intention was to do this till 8:30. This is 8:40. So thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you in the community. If you are not yet on the WhatsApp group where we are all waiting to be joined, okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Doleyi. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you. So good night. To have a lovely night rest. You all have our contact. Reach out to us to take the next step. You have 24 hours to do that. So I'm going to be sharing the replay of this in our WhatsApp community. That's like our holding community from where we are all moving to the community that we will be using. So if you are not there yet, find a way to be a part of that and see how you can watch this replay and act on it. Thank you so much. So good night. Do have a lovely night rest. Bye-bye.